r/AskReddit by Redmond ETS. What's a secret you're taking to the grave, but willing to share? I have shared it before, but I have a mum of a friend who took me in when I was homeless just after high school. She made me a lemon meringue pie that first night, and I was so hungry I nearly ate the whole thing by myself. I hadn't had a home cooked meal for a long time. She was so excited that I loved it because her boys turned their nose up at it. The catch is, I can't stand lemons, or meringue. Now, she's been making me a lemon meringue pie every year since, because it's my favorite. Over 20 years, and counting, of lemon meringue pies that I will happily choke down until the day she dies. Then, I will miss those pies more than anything else in the world. Update. You guys are awesome. So glad this made people remember that there are people who love you. Call them. Message them. The days are short. Also, some of you all need Jesus. Sweet mercy. Put the down for a second. My younger brother and his wife were struggling financially after having a kid. They were both in school full time and both worked to try and make ends meet, but one particular month things were looking really rough because he got injured and couldn't work. I was working overtime at a really well-paying job at the time. So one night, after getting paid, I went to their place and put an envelope with my entire pay into their mail slot in the door. It was accompanied with a letter I typed, pretending to be an old lady in the apartment building who had seen them with their newborn and wanted to help the new parents out. The relief they got from it was repayment enough for me. I don't want him to ever find out it was me. And now that he's graduated, he's the one working at an insanely well-paying job, and I'm currently disabled, unable to work. Funny how life works out that way. 20 plus years ago, I met a guy at a club, hooked up with him a couple times, super casual. Never gave me any reason to suspect he wasn't single. Then he died. I found out from the bartender. It was a car crash. Found the obituary. And learned that he had a loving wife and 2 young kids. To the grave. I had a terrible mother and father, promised myself to never walk out on my kid. When my first kid was 2 years old, my wife cheated and it crushed me. She was the major breadwinner at the time and I had to move out of our upper middle class house into an apartment in the shitty part of town. I nearly committed suicide. She realized her mistake and came begging for me to take her back after about 9 months. I love my kids so much and wanted to spend every day with them, so I forgave her and we have been together since. She doesn't know for the last 16 years, I haven't loved her. I pretend to be happy to ensure someone else doesn't raise my children. My sweet and gentle wife called me upset because she was unsure if she hit a squirrel with her car on her way to work. She said it ran out in front of her but she didn't see him lying in the road afterward. The road she was on is close to our house, so I went and found the poor little guy, scooped him up with a shovel and buried him on the side of the road, so that on her way home she would see that there wasn't a dead squirrel and assume she hadn't hit him. That's exactly what happened. She was relieved and I'll never tell her the truth. Over the course of a year and a half, I stole well over $1,000 from my mom's alcoholic boyfriend. He got paid under the table in cash, would get drunk, and just leave it in his pants. He paid for my first Stephen King hardcover as well as several metal band concerts. My older brother would regularly beat me because he was an asshole. I took every one of his cassettes, put paper in the notch to record over the tape. On our entertainment center, we had an 8-track record button. If a cassette was playing and you press the button, it would record blanks. I randomly did this with all of his music. My younger brother lent my bicycle to one of his druggy friends who promptly sold it. When my brother balked at replacing it, I waited a couple of months, opened up his gas tank and engine to his motorcycle and put in a couple of teaspoons of metal shavings from the school metal shop. Mom's dead. Boyfriend is too. Have not spoken to my brothers in decades. I have a pretty mild one I'm willing to share. I have a friend who's been single for a very long time. Whenever we talk about girls he pretty much always talks about one girlfriend he had during high school. He keeps talking about that relationship and expanding on the lore and the intricacies of how they had so much passion but life pulled them apart. What he doesn't know is that I know for a fact that the girl he's referring to did not have a relationship with him. I know at least 3 different people who hooked up with her during the timeline of his alleged relationship, and that she later had a relationship with another guy for some years before she moved away. It's not a case of my friend having been cheated on or lied to. He was basically her orbiter at the time and got 2-3 pity hookups, but he's twisting reality to make their friendship appear as a relationship. I don't have the heart to tell him that I know he's lying, so I just nod in agreement. After American Pie came out, I was super horny and lonely late teen. I decide what the heck not, and there's a fresh apple pie, and I put my dong in it. Was a little too hot and got dong burns. I threw out the pie in the neighbor's trash that was already set out for garbage day, and quickly went to the store and bought a store-made one. Easy done. My ego and my sore dong, but nothing to ever think about again, but that's not the entire story. In comes my dad and my mom. My mom said she made a fresh apple pie for dinner. My dad is in the garage and comes in all huffing and puffing, saying why did she lie about making a pie when it's store bought? Seems like I didn't throw the container away properly in my burnt dong mission. My mom goes in to say she did make a fresh pie and doesn't know what the fudge my dad's talking about. He provides proof and then she laughs, asking why he is trying to start something. The pie is never forgotten. Each fight turns into, "Oh yeah, just like you made a pie," and they would have an explosive argument. Now, given my shame the first night, I felt like I couldn't just come forward and say I knocked the pie over and bought one so they wouldn't be mad at each other. My dad had asked me and I lied my face off as my dong throbbed with burnt pie on it. My dad's a real stickler for lying. He hates it, detests it. You'll get in 1000% less trouble if you come clean. Me lying like this? Fudge. Some way somehow he'd unearth his kid is a pie lover. They end up splitting up and getting a divorce. Years and years go by and they are both remarried and happy. I would say happier than they've ever been. They didn't have the most solid relationship before the pie stuff. They are civil and get along, and I still roll when pies are mentioned. I asked them both a hypothetical question, more or less trying to gauge if they are happier now or wish things had been different. Both I'd say are 100% in a better place. Stable. Happy. So yeah, I screwed a pie and it ended up with my parents' divorce, and I never said a word about and never will. I know, I'm a terrible person. No, I haven't screwed any more pies or any other kinds of foods. This is the worst thing I've ever done in my life. My wife and I were in our early days of dating when she bought baseball tickets for us and some friends. The problem though was the tickets ended up being for that afternoon and not the following day. She was super upset and was afraid she lost that money. I had her put them on the resale site. They didn't sell for a few hours, so I went and bought them. I'd do it 100 times over, seeing her face of relief. I relisted them for a lower price and made a little of the money back. I think she would literally murder me if she found out. I never cried at any funeral of my family member, but I cried for 2 hours straight, bawling my eyes out, because my beloved guinea pig died in my arms and I wasn't able to save her. Rest in peace, Swanky. I know where the 7-iron really was that day. Doug didn't leave it on hole 6. I used it to hit a ball back into the driving range, and the club slipped out of my hand and landed in a tree. I also used to look at that tree for a good year or so each time we played, praying that you wouldn't see the sun reflecting off it, as you'd know it was me. My friend's mum's golf set. During my days Brigham Young University, Idaho, I would go out after dark in my homemade ghillie suit to scare the students there. They walk by and I'd surprise them with an unexpected movement or word. I got chased by the cops once, but I was fast enough to turn the corner of the building, lay down in the garden, and they kept running. Now that I live in Provo, Utah, I do the same thing every Halloween at the university here. I have never told anyone the number of sexual partners I have had, but my wife tried to guess, and the number she guessed was 10% of my real number. I let her think she was right, and she got upset because she said she was intentionally overestimating. I do not enjoy anything in life. My husband's grandmother gave me the recipe to his favorite chocolate chip cookies. It's the exact same recipe that's on the bag of Nestle Toll House chocolate chips. I think I'm a narcissist. I don't go around ghosting or manipulating people, but my empathy is very selective. Sometimes I can't cry. Sometimes I enjoy the pain of those who wronged me. Most times, I really care about how people treat me and see me, and disregard what I might say to them in the process. My feelings are so intense. They go from 100% caring to not caring at all. And I don't know how to regulate. I have hope that I'll be able to safely share and talk about this someday, but I'm still far from that day. For now, it's a lifelong secret. I was essayed by my father at 5 years old. My father hasn't been in my life for nearly 5 years. He's pretty messed up. However, I still love and miss him deeply, genuinely. I made the decision to cut him out and haven't looked back. It's been a hard journey forward. No one in my life understands why, because I would be humiliated if I talked and my family won't believe my truth. I am totally okay with dying and I kind of look forward to it. I wouldn't tell anyone because they would probably interpret it as me being suicidal, but I don't have any desire to kill myself. But if I was diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, you would definitely refuse treatment. 3 people can keep a secret if 2 are dead. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.